Hi, in this video, I'll be talking about staying true to yourself, or staying true to myself. And what do I actually think it means? Does it mean going back into our past, trying to discover parts of ourselves that we have hidden? Kind of, but it goes a bit deeper. And finally, I will end the video with a simple solution that you can implement to stay true to yourself throughout your life and not be diverted into paths that actually kind of veer off of that. So when I think of staying true to myself, the idea that comes to my mind is back when I was a kid and I would just play around with things. So maybe I would collect things, I would try and build things, or I would just read stuff that I was interested in. Sometimes, I would do it for longer periods of times, and some of them have stuck to this day, like tarot reading, astrology, and numerology. But some of them I just kind of, let them be and stop doing them because I realized I kind of disliked. Now, eventually I grew up and I had to enter university. I decided that I would try out psychology because that was the closest idea I had to what I wanted to do in my life. So I did 3 years of that with a bit of struggle, and when I finished, I was completely lost. I had imagined that this path would bring me joy. Eventually, I was kind of stumped because I have a degree, but I don't want to become a psychologist. And my heart pulls me more towards astrology, towards spirituality, but I don't know how can I implement that in the real world. Because when I think of the question, what am I going to do with my life? I'm more talking about discovering purpose. I'm not really interested in just doing things for the sake of doing. Maybe when I was a kid, but now I feel that I want to have an impact on the world. What I've understood right now is that purpose is better explained if we think of potential, of realizing potential. So I believe potential that we all have represents our talents, skills, experience, interests, and the problems that we feel excited to solve. Realizing potential, meaning, manifesting it or using it in some sense, using this fuel that we have in us, requires a direction, an actual place. Well, it's like you have the fuel for your car, but you need a car in order to use the fuel. So if you don't have that right car, if you don't have that actual direction, the address, where am I going to go with this car, then what's the point of having fuel? That's where direction is very important. I think that we get a lot of these inputs from ourselves, from our environment, and sometimes we look out and it's exactly what we want, and sometimes, at least in my case, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I dreamed of. I still feel and felt lost. So the direction can be found in our unconscious. I'm going to go in a bit deeper about what our conscious is, and maybe also explain why is this need for direction so important? Why aren't we just satisfied with doing things for the sake of doing? Why do I feel that impact is important and that there's just something more to life than just living the days? This brings up the topic of karma. Now, many of you have heard of karma, but just for people who don't know what it is, it's the simple analogy of cause and effect. So either I do an action or I have a thought, and then the outcome that comes after that is karma. It's like ripples in a pond, where if I throw a rock, either it's like I do something or I have a thought, I create these ripples, which are the effects. What happens after I have done something, or what happens after I think something? How does that change my environment? How does that influence my future reality? I believe that this karma, so all of our actions and thoughts that we have ever had, also in all of our previous lives, and in the future lives to come, get stored in our memory. But more specifically, in the unconscious. Now, the conscious mind is what we're aware of. It's our identity. It's when I think of, who am I? I'm a girl, this is what I like, this is what I hate, these are my desires, this is what I feel pulled towards. That's kind of what we're aware of, most of the time. But then there's all of this other stuff, like our instinct, our intuition, like the gut feeling. Where does that come from? And that's the unconscious, that's the unknown. In the unknown, our karma, so all of our actions and thoughts get stored. It's like a ledger. I believe that when we die, all of our actions and thoughts get tallied up in the unconscious. Because most things into the universe want to come to an equilibrium, meaning zero, where it's neutral. I believe that that's what our actions and thoughts are also meant to do, that we arrive at zero. So imagine that we're at the end of our life, and we have to tally up our karma. I believe that the total karma that we have created in this life is judged as whether it has moved us more towards purpose, so realizing potential, or has it distracted us from that path and kept us not fulfilling potential, not fulfilling purpose in our life. Many of us, I think, maybe myself included, who knows, probably end up with not having enough of karma that we have created in this life that pushed us towards purpose, pushed us towards realizing potential. But we are at the end of our days, so we kind of have to leave. This is where I believe the universe gives us the helping hand. It says, okay, for you to peacefully leave this earth and go wherever you're meant to go next, I'll help you out. I'll give you a loan. This is probably how we accumulate karmic debt. So with all of our lives that we have lived, I don't know how many we have created karma that pushed us towards purpose, but probably in many we haven't. And so in those that we haven't, we kind of have accumulated these loans that the universe has given us. And we end up into this karmic debt cycle, which is the never-ending loop of trying to impossibly pay off our friend, the universe, for having helped us out during those tough times. That's why I believe many people say we live life, we are reincarnated to pay off karma, to pay off our karmic debt. To go a little bit deeper, does this just mean, okay, I'm supposed to do positive actions, I'm supposed to have positive thoughts? So here's the catch. The simple solution isn't just think positive thoughts, do positive action, because we've all tried it. It helps. Keeping a clean mind definitely keeps you in spirits, but it doesn't solve the problem of finding the direction. Because the solution to that is to find the information from our unconscious. As we're not aware of the solution, unfortunately, we have to go and search for it. And my best solution is don't try and search for it with your rational mind. It all has to come through your intuition. I believe that the closest way to connecting to the unconscious and connecting to our intuition is in targeting where part of it lives, which is in the water in our body. I believe the water in our body acts as a bridge between our intuition and our physical reality, creating things in the real world. So there are many ways that we can increase this connection, either through meditation or through grounding, which means that we touch the earth with our bare feet or bare hands. Although it's kind of difficult to do it when it's cold. Another one is getting sun exposure, so going to sunbeds. But maybe the simplest one that I would advise for those who are watching is to ask ourselves this question. Take 15 minutes and reflect. If I had abundance, if money and time were unlimited, what would I be doing right now? Whatever extravagant idea, even if it's heroic, even if it's grandiose, and you might want to say, God, it's impossible to do right now for me, stick to it. Use that as your endpoint, and then re-engineer. So kind of think of what are the steps that I would have to take to get to that place where I dream to be. And start with small milestones. Now, if you ask yourself this question, what you got was not an answer, but more of a confirmation that, okay, I don't really like what I'm doing right now, but I don't have a better idea. Like, what else am I supposed to do? Or you had this grandiose idea and you're stuck with how to practically actually implement it, because sometimes we come up with these big ideas, but we lack the information to make it a reality. Don't worry, I've got a solution for you, which is astrology, numerology, and a bit of psychic insight. Either you can reach out to me or to somebody who is experienced in those areas, and essentially have them help you out. So what I would do is that I would connect to the unconscious. As I said, the unconscious part of it lives in the water in our body. And because I also have water in my body, I'm also technically connected to the same unconscious that we all are. Somehow, I have a talent that allows me to connect easily. I will do it in your place. So I'll identify your talents, your skills, your interests, the problems that you feel excited to solve. After I have identified potential, so your potential, I will identify the direction. Where can you actually realize potential in your life? And this is where I'll answer the question, what problems can I help others solve that targets a pain point they currently have? With that, I will create milestones, specify jobs, roles, opportunities that you're meant to have in your life. And then I will create a step-by-step guide in detailing how you can get there. I will focus on your first milestone because, again, purpose is not one thing. It is multidimensional. It represents many roles that you will have during your life. At the end, you get a PDF, about 3 to 4 pages, that pretty much talks about all of that. To summarize, staying true to myself requires realizing potential. Using my talents, my skills, feeling excited to actually solve problems and help others, and to be in a win situation where I also get the benefits. So ask yourself the abundance question, use your answer as the end point, the end goal, and then re-engineer. Think of the steps that you would have to take to get there.